Hello there. My name is Father Edna Donnelly from the Father Donnelly Good News Fund. And we'll be here for an hour, and I have a special guest, you who are viewing the program right now. So the program is simply what you always want to ask Father or afraid to ask. Or maybe you just had a question for me. So I'd love to have you call me at any time during this program. And the telephone number is 860-321-7405. 860-321-7405. So call me if you're watching the program right now, and call me and ask me any questions. We got to pray for France right now. The Notre Dame Cathedral is still burning. So this is an 800-year-old cathedral. They had scaffolding all over the place, and somehow the whole place is burning down after 800 years. Notre Dame, which means Our Lady. And I feel very badly right now, not only for the people of France, but throughout the world. I know I went to the Notre Dame Cathedral there, and it was an awesome place. Now it's completely destroyed. And I just hope it was an accident and not a planned accident, like so many oftentimes sabotages happen. Again, the telephone number is 860-321-7405. And whatever question you have, I'd love to answer it. Here's a funny story. I had a 60-second marriage reunion, a marriage renewal vows, and the groom said, I, John, take you honey bunch for my wife. And after I asked him, I said, how come you called him honey bunch? Called your wife honey bunch? Well, I forgot her name 2 years ago, so I called her honey bunch. I couldn't stop laughing. Here's a guy, 62nd years of marriage, and making his vow, saying honey bunch instead of I, John, take you, Mary. He forgot her name 2 years ago. But on a lighter, more serious moment, I'd like to have you answer some of these questions. It said, when did you know when you had a calling to be a priest? How old were you? A calling to a priest is a lot like getting married. You meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend at a basketball team, or you meet him at a restaurant, or you meet him at a dance, and you just look interested in each other. So gradually, over time, the interest gets greater and greater and greater. It didn't just hit you, well, I fell in love immediately. If you do that, you'll fall out of love immediately, too. But a vocation to a priesthood is a lot like getting married. It's a gradual introduction and a relationship and a growing love for that other person. You know, if anybody says, well, we got married after 3 months, well, how long did the marriage last? There are exceptions. But the vocation to the priesthood is just like a vocation to marriage, or it's a vocation to the single life. All of them are vocations. So it's a gradual growth of interest and love for that other person. And I went to the seminary when I was 15, and then I became ordained a priest when I was 26. In fact, tomorrow at the St. Joseph Cathedral, you have this says a mass, and we have a celebration of the priesthood. So I'll be there for my 60th anniversary, and I'll renew my vows to the priesthood at the Chrism Mass. Chrism is one of the oils you receive at the Feast of Chrism. The bishop blesses the oil of the sick that we use when a person is sick. Then we also use the oil of the catechumens, somebody getting baptized, and the oil as a chrism, rather. I say chrism, it's chrism, where you put that oil on the forehead of a person when they're baptized. You put that oil when they're confirmed. You put that oil when you became a priest. So it took about 11 years before I decided to be a priest. So it was a gradual falling in love with the idea of the priesthood. So just like marriage, it's a gradual falling in love in the person. You meet maybe at a movie, a theater, at a dance or a banquet. I know my sister met her boyfriend at the banquet of Father Stan, who was having his first Mass. And they were classmates in grammar school. They hadn't seen each other. Now they're adults. My sister was a teacher, and he was working for Sikorsky. So they met at the banquet for the ordination of Father Stan Kazakowicz. So you could meet anywhere, but they didn't immediately get married. It took a while before they went out together, and then decided to get married. So when did I know I had a calling to be a priest? It was a gradual knowledge. It wasn't a light going on, and then I said, oh, I want to be a priest. No, it was a gradual thing. I went to the seminary because it was the only Catholic seminary, only Catholic high school at my time in 1948. There was no Northwest or St. Thomas in New Britain. There was no South or East Catholic. So we all went there to get a Catholic education. And I like sports, so I used to play in all the sports. But it was a gradual thing. So like marriage, vocation to the priesthood is not the light turning on, oh, I want to be a priest. Oh, I want to get married. No, it's a gradual thing. Okay, that's my first question that was written in, and I have quite a few questions that have been written in. And if you have a question, my number is 860-321-7405. 860-321-7405. If you have a question, just be very happy to answer them. Yesterday, I have these billboards all over the place, and I get calls every day from people for one way or the other. And the call I got just yesterday, I was up in Naugatuck saying Mass, and a young man in Meriden had a real problem. So he called me. I said, well, I'm coming on my way home. So I stopped to see him in Meriden. Then we went out to we went out to McDonald's, and we had something to eat. And it was a problem he had about morality. He didn't know what the word fornication meant and what immoral behavior. So I spent quite a few minutes with him. And so we turned around. I think we have a call in. Father Ed, you're on the air.
Hi, Father. How are you?
Well, let me put you on a little higher. You better?
Yeah.
No, okay, now you're better.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I want to congratulate you on your 60 years in the priesthood.
Thank you very much.
You've affected a lot of people. You've made an impact in the world, and we are all very grateful that you're here. I would like to ask you, what kind of feedback, I know you started talking about one gentleman who responded to your billboards, but what other feedback do you get? Do you get any negative feedback, or is it all positive?
Oh, no, it's all inquisitive. Once in a while, I'll get a negative feedback. But I just take you the last two. And the fellow was in Meriden, and he had some psychological problems, and he was hearing voices, and he had some problems from the scripture. Then the one before that was a Muslim who called me, and he was gay, he was homosexual, and he was having affairs with black men, and he prayed to Allah all the time. But we had a long conversation telling him that he worked in the United States and also in Saudi Arabia. And I said, go back to Saudi Arabia, and they find out you're gay, you'll be killed. He said, yes, I will. So I talked to him quite a while, and he talked about what I thought about Jesus. And he had a hard time understanding that I wasn't married and I wasn't gay. I said, well, I could go either way and go north or south, east or west. But he looked at me, and but why he called me, he was troubled because he was addicted to homosexual behavior with black men. And we talked quite a long time. I said, your wife probably knows about it by now. She does. And he's got married. He had 3 kids. And I said, you really need psychological help, because if you have to go back and forth to Saudi Arabia, you're going to end up, if they discover you are gay. Now, you didn't start gay activity with black men 3 or 4 months ago. you've been doing that kind of activity prior to that. And he said, yes, he did, even when he was a little kid. Now, those are the last two calls. Other than that, I get just natural calls. Father, pray for me. I just got out of the hospital, and I've had fourth-stage cancer. I saw your billboard, Jesus, I trust in you. It gave me hope. Or somebody else calls up and said, would you pray for my son who's in prison because of drugs? Or someone else calls me up and said, Father, my wife just left me with my two babies. And who are the two babies? Two dogs that they have. I'll have somebody call me up and ask me for a job. I get a lot of people call me up asking me for money. But I have about 15, like I just got a call from New London. That person had a problem with going to the casino, and he lost $600. And I said, did you lose your wife? Did you lose your job? Yeah. So, I said, you need to go to Bacchus Hospital. The best place I tell people to go when I see that they got some serious problems is go to the hospital, and then they could direct you wherever you are, in whatever city you are in. A man calls me, and he's just got out of jail. He's looking for a job. Just yesterday, a man who was just out on parole. And he said, Father, 2 years ago, I called you. I've been in jail, and I'm out now, and please help that I don't go back to drugs. But I get a lot of parents calling me about their children hooked on drugs. And then now we have the problem of suicide among teenagers. So I get parents calling me, all of a sudden, their son is gone. And now last year we had over 1,000 people dying from opiates. So you have all these families now with one less member of the family. It could be a daughter, a son, it could be a husband, it could be a wife, it could be anyone. So my parish, my billboards are a parish without boundaries. And when you have 2 million cars going by them, I have about 15 billboards all over the place. Like one example would one I had on Route 83, 83 East. 84 East, 84 going through Hartford. And there's a billboard there that says, Jesus, forgive me. And 55,000 cars go by it every week. I had it up there for 6 months. You multiply that 6 months times 4 times a week, you have over 1.2 million cars a month going by those. At one billboard, I have 15. So conservatively, there are about 2 million cars going by my billboards. And even if 20% read them, the one I have on 94, it almost touches you. I was going by it today. It's very close to the highway. Jesus, forgive me. So what I have is people calling me. I figure at least 2 million cars go by my billboards a month. And even only just 20% of them see it. That's 400,000 billboards, 400,000 cars that see my billboard. Like the guy who called me just a few days ago, or the girl who called me. Some people go to the exercise play to exercise, some to pick up a girl, pick up a guy. And this woman committed adultery with somebody from where she was exercising. And she was all upset. And when I was talking to her, and she happened to be Catholic, I said, are you married? Yeah, I've got 3 kids and a husband. How about the guy you had a relationship with? No, he's divorced. He has nothing to lose. So I met her at a restaurant in the parking lot, and I heard her confession. Another one called me. He had a problem with faithfulness. I heard a confession, another restaurant in Meriden. So it really is a parish without boundaries. And I got people who call me up, woman called me up, he said, Father, I'd like to get married at the end of the year to bring in the new year. Would you marry me? And I said, hey, you're not my type. So we did marry her, but I had a problem. The problem was when she wanted to get married on December 31st. That was Sunday, and you don't get married on a Sunday in the church, the Catholic Church, because of all the masses priests had. So I said to the bishop, would you like 300 kids on the beach? Would you like to have 300 people in a church? And there was one parish that was very nice in New Britain that gave me permission, and I had the wedding there, although they were living together for 6 years. I don't know how you can say you're bringing in the new year when you've been living together for 6 years. But anyways, those are just some examples of what I get. But most of the times what I get, like I just got a Easter card, thank you for the billboards. They really help me. They cause me to pray. So to remember, most people don't go to church or they don't go to a synagogue, but everybody drives on the highway. So I reach a lot more people through the highway with prayer than that you do in church. 2 million people a month or see my billboards. 2 million people don't go to church on a Sunday. So that's the purpose, to get people to pray. And like one lady heard me on radio, the Hail Mary that I had, and she came back to church. So we try to promote, evangelize not only on billboards, but also on radio and now on television. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's been very informative, Father. With all those cars going by your billboards, too bad you couldn't take a collection.
Yeah, I have one hanging out there, but nobody's stopping.
I thank you very much, Father. It was always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Have a happy Easter.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, is there another call on line 2 or line 1? Oh, okay. The false call. That must have been my brother-in-law. Okay. Now, getting back to you, if you just tuned in, this is a 860-321-7405. And a call like that gives me an opportunity to share some of my experiences. So 860-321-7405. Anything you'd like to ask, Father, I have an answer for everything, even for those people who work at St. Joseph's Church in New Britain. So if you have a call, just call me. Now, these people wrote questions. And if a person leaves the church and goes to a non-Catholic church and later decides to come back to the church, can they return to the Catholic Church? Okay, no question. I've known a lot of people who, for one reason or other, leave the church, but then they get mad at the pastor, or they get mad at the priest, or they get mad at somebody. They're really getting mad at themselves. So I've known people who've left the church for 10, 20 years. But you know, once you're a Catholic, you're always a Catholic. Once you're baptized, you're part of the family of the church. And only when you renounce the church, and join another parish, but even if you've done that, you have an opportunity to come back. So if you turn around and want to come back, just give me a call. Call me at 860. Where do I live? 860-335-2342. 860-335-2342. And call me, and I'd be very happy to talk to you after the show. So if you have, but if you'd like to call me right now, 860-321-7405, because I do hear everything in the studio that comes into my ear, all the conversation that's going on. So 860-321-7405. Yes, if you've been away from the church and you'd like to come back to the church, there's no problem. Give me a call, or go to your closest Catholic church. Because I know a lot of people get hurt, a funeral, or a wedding. I had some, and I'm going to leave the church because I want to get married on that particular day, at that particular time. But they made the reservation at the reception first. And then what happens, they call us, and the church is booked. So if you intend to get married in church, first call the church. Don't make the reception. But the reception sometimes is more important than the ceremony. A good friend of mine made a reception down in Maryland. And then he called the Basilica and wanted to get married at the Basilica. But the Basilica was taken. So he got very mad. I remember a woman in Naugatuck yelling and swearing at me. I put down $500 deposit on that reception hall. I said, well, why didn't you call me before you did that to find out? You put the cart before the horse. You call the church first and then look for the reception. And that happens a lot. They put the cart before the horse. They put the reception before the church ceremony. But today, very few people really get married in the church. Very few people are getting married. Very few people are even get married by JPs. They're just living together. 51% of people who are eligible for marriage are not married. Well, why is it they're not married? One of the problems we have is the problem of commitment. People cannot commit themselves. We see the problem at Stop and Shop right today, where they're on strike, where the company cannot commit themselves to really give a substantial retirement or health insurance so that they can pay for it. And now it's costing them the money. They've got an increase of money, but the expenses now coming up are greater than the income coming in. So pray for them. But if you are asking about coming back to the church, I remember I had a 60-second spot on radio at Christmas time. If you've been away from the church, please come home. And I remember how powerful the media is. And what happened, a lady went to confession, and she hadn't gone to confession for a long time at Christmas time. And the priest said, well, how come you haven't gone to confession? How come you came back after so many years? And she said, well, Father Ed invited me from the WTIC radio show. I just had a spot, the Hail Mary on TIC, radio AM, and a lady called me up and she says, I heard the Hail Mary and I came back to the church because of the Hail Mary. And if you go on Route 9, going towards Berlin, you see or coming up Route 9, you see, I love you, Mary. And then there's another billboard that says, Jesus, have mercy on me. So we're trying to reach out to people. You know, our world is really going to pot, literally going to pot. We see now we're going to make pot legal. And we see the complications. I was talking to somebody from Colorado who's been there for years, and he's had an avalanche of people are moving into Colorado, and the prices of the houses are going way up. And why are they moving in? Because of the marijuana. And we see the repercussions of the marijuana now. The number of car accidents, the number of overdoses, the number of dropouts from work, the family breakups. We see all these repercussions, and yet we're trying to make it legal in Connecticut. I'd like to get your idea too on the potheads that we see. All the ones I see in jail, every one of them, I heard confessions of, or 19 went to Mass. I heard confessions of all of them. But after Mass and after confession, I said, how many of you started smoking marijuana? And they said, as a teenager. And then they graduated to opiates, heroin, or some other drug. And they ended up doing something stupid and ended up in jail. I had no friend, Richard. He started marijuana, went up to crack, and he killed 3 people. Another one killed 2. So we know that if a teenager starts smoking cigarettes at 21, as a teenager, they're going to be hooked. If anybody starts smoking marijuana as a teenager, many of them are going to be hooked. And one thing, I had a friend of mine who just used to smoke marijuana casually, and he got a tremendous coughing problem. And I looked up marijuana use. It can cause coughing, just like cigarettes can cause coughing, marijuana. But now he's got cancer in his bones, and we're trying to find out where that cancer come from. Could it have been smoking marijuana all of his life. But if you have an opinion on drugs, give me a call, 860-321-7405. 860-321-7405. What's your question? Or let me ask you a question. 860-321-7405. So the person obviously wants to come back to church. They gave me this question. Now here's another one that came in. For my daughter, St. Peter was married. Why can't priests be married? We know better. Was Peter married when Jesus asked him to build his church? Yeah, all the guys were married except St. John. The one that was close to Jesus at the Last Supper, he wasn't married. The rest of them all married. Now, why can't we get married? Well, I'd like to see optional celibacy. In other words, for those who want to be married, like in the Ukrainian Catholic Church, they want to be married. They can be married. They're under the Pope. So those of the Eastern Rite, we're of the Western Rite, the Roman Rite, but we're all under the umbrella of the Pope. So the Ukrainian Catholic priests can be married. So they always could. The Roman Catholic priest, the Western Church, was married up to about the 1,000. But because of nepotism, because of ignorance, and because of promiscuity, they changed the law. What they should have done is they threw the baby out, marriage, with the dirt. They should clean the dirt out and not throw the baby out. Will we ever have a married priest? Well, we do have, right near in Oakdale. There's a priest there who is an Episcopalian priest. He has 3 children, and he is married, a wonderful guy. Yeah, we already have them. Will the Pope change it? Why doesn't he? Well, really, if I were married, I'd be divorced because I go 7 days a week, and you're committed to the church. That's your wife. And if you are not committed, yes. So it's a matter of commitment. I couldn't have 2 wives. The church is my wife, and I'll pick up the phone when I finish. When the marriage is, the problem of marriage is to make your spouse happy. For me, the problem of the calling of marriage is to bring happiness to the other, not to be happy. You don't get married to be happy. If you get married to be happy, you get divorced. But if you get married to bring happiness to the other. No, I'm not here to be happy. I'm here to bring happiness to you by challenging you. So if I were a married priest, I'd have a hard time putting my time with my wife and my children and to the church. My job is a 7-day-a-week job, and then I'd have to separate one from the other. No, I wouldn't. I'd love to be married, but I don't want to be married because I'm married to the church. That is my spouse, and I've committed myself to celibacy. Okay, we'll take another call. Father Ed, you're on the air.
Father, this is Richard Lee.
Yes, Mr.
I have a question for you that was asked of me, and I didn't know how to answer it. A friend of mine was married and got a civil divorce and remarried. So, but in the meantime, after getting married the second time, his first wife died. So he asked me if I thought his second marriage would be okay with the church, and I honestly didn't know.
Okay, he's free. If his wife passed away, then he's free to marriage. But the question is, what about his second wife? Is she Catholic? Was she married before, or what? You know?
No, she wasn't married before, and she was Catholic. But of course, I don't think they could have gotten married in the church while his first wife was still alive. Right?
Yeah, right. That now, if she was never married, and his wife died, he could get married in the Catholic Church. And tell him I'll do it for free. And seriously, so he's a widower, and she was single. So, yeah, they could get married in the Catholic Church, sure.
But he's already married. Is that?
No, that's no problem. He'll just have, they call it validated, that's all. He got married by a GP or he got married by a minister. But
It was a minister,
yeah, well, they would just, he's married, and then the church would put its stamp of approval on that marriage by redoing and redoing their dedication to each other, the marriage vows, before the priest.
Okay, so that would actually count as the sacrament, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be counted as a sacrament of marriage, and with all the graces of marriage. Yeah, that would be very good. So, where does he live?
He lives in Rocky Hill, but I think he was a little embarrassed to ask himself.
Yeah. Okay. No, Father Baranowski is a nice guy there, David. Call Father David. There shouldn't be any problem. If he has any, but if what you're telling me is true, that he is a widower, and his present wife is not wasn't married before, then it can be valid because we don't recognize that the marriage he was in as valid, but in the eyes of the state, it's legal. Now we just want to make it valid. That's all, and it's easy, and that's what you call convalidation, convalidation of the marriage.
Okay, I think he'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, good. Tell him I'll do it for free. Okay, and it could be just a simple thing like going into the rectory and having the marriage with a best man and a maid of honor, just 4 people quietly to do it. You want to do it that way, and usually that's what they do. They just have a quiet ceremony of convalidating their vows. Okay?
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, okay. Father Ed?
Yes, Father, you had a contest going a goal of giving out 100,000 crosses. Did you make it yet?
I'm usually half in a bag myself, but I have about less than a quarter of a bag. Yeah, I'm up to probably 99,950. I just have a handful. In fact, I bought some donuts and some coffee for the guys at Dunkin' Donuts, and wherever I go, I give them out. And it's amazing that 99% of the times, like I was in a restaurant a few nights ago, I was going up and down the aisle in the restaurant giving them out. Yeah, they're very popular. It says, "I love you, Jesus." And I'm getting called. I just got called. I put a note on Facebook, and one guy called me or emailed me. He wanted quite a few, then someone else. So whenever I mention it, somebody, and that's a good idea that you called up, I can mention it to the audience here. If you have any desire to, these are free. I don't charge anything. You can have them just call me after the show at 860-335-2342. But in the meantime, yeah, it's amazing what they do. I'll give you a couple of stories. One fellow had a father in Masonic Lodge, or Masonic home rather, not lodge, but home, and maybe it was Gaylord. And he gave this a cross that's in the palm of their hands. He gave it to the father, and he passed away. And they opened his hand, his fist, and in the midst of that fist was a cross, "I love you, Jesus," in his hands. And I've got so many stories of people who just love. When I go into restaurants, all I get is "thank you, thank you." Tonight, I was in with Richard Lee, and before I left, I walked over to this couple, and she was, I saw her walking in with a cane, and so I stopped because I'm shy and very withdrawn. I said to her, "What's the matter?" She says, "I have arthritis, real bad arthritis." So I said, "Are you a nice person?" That's my gimmick. I say, "Are you a nice person?" And they said, "Yes." And so I gave each of them a cross, and they loved it. Waitresses love it anywhere I go. And I looked at her. I said, "Can I anoint you?" So while she put down her hamburger, and I gave her the sacrament of the sick. The little cross is a great icebreaker. When I go up to people and I say, "Are you nice?" and they're startled, and they said, "Yes." Then I said, "Can I give you a cross?" And I would say, of the almost 100,000 crosses that's given out, maybe I got a refusal of 2 people. One person was funny. He said, "Well, I'm Jewish." I said, my boss is half Jewish. He said, "What do you mean?" His mother was Jewish, but his father wasn't. Jesus Christ. So when I look around, I'll continue to do this, because when you realize that you have 100,000 people with saying, "I love you, Jesus," that's a lot of people. How many times they put it in their car, or they have it in their wallet, wherever it is, and they take it out and they say, "I love Jesus." That's what I call a sacramental, an occasion for a person to pray. You may have a rosary, you may have a holy card, but you have a cross that says, "I love you, Jesus." That gets a tremendous number of people, 100,000 people praying. Just like the billboards, we have a couple million people praying every month. Here I have 100,000 people saying, "I love you, Jesus." So that's what I call evangelization. If you need a cross, call me at 860-335-2342. That's my cell number, and that's the number that's on the billboards. Okay?
Now, what do you mean your cell number?
No, I'm not.
Your telephone, cell telephone.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not in prison. I'm sorry.
I'll just check it.
I'm not in prison, honest.
Right, now, also, too, you have an anniversary coming up.
Yeah. It's 60 years, and it seemed just like 60 years. And then what I did, I had somebody to help me. I decided to. It wasn't my idea; it was my classmate's idea, to have Mass on our 60th anniversary at St. Lawrence O'Toole Parish in Hartford, where we were ordained 60 years ago. And at our 50th anniversary, we had a Mass there. So I asked a friend of mine to send out cards to invite my classmates. We had 18 when we were first ordained. There are about only 3 of us that are still active. Some of them passed away. Some of them are in convalescent homes. Some had gotten married. But I've been going there for 59 out of 60 years. On my anniversary, I go up there and say a prayer of thanks. And I only missed once in my 60 years of going up to remind myself, just like you have your marriage renewal and you have your baptismal renewal at Lent. Lent is all about baptism, where you renew your commitment to Christ that you got at baptism. So people have their marriage renewals. So we have our priestly renewals once a year. I know I keep going back there. But yeah, it's 60 years, and it's like yesterday. The only problem I had, I wish I wasn't as shy and withdrawn and as I am. I would like to be a little more outgoing than I am. But what are you laughing at? That's you don't believe me, huh? Okay. Well, if I weren't so shy, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for reminding me of my 60th. Oh, by the way, tomorrow at the Mass of Chrism Mass, that means oil. All the priests that are ordained 50 years, 25 years, 55 years, or 60, we're all going to renew our commitment to the priesthood, and then we're going to have lunch with the Archbishop after Mass. So that'll be you call them the Mass of Chrism, where 3 oils are blessed: the oil of the catechumen, used for baptism; the oil of Chrism, that's used at baptism, at the ordination, at confirmation, and for bishops and popes and cardinals, and I think, but also the oil that's sick that I used today. I use that. So tomorrow is a big day. So thank you very much.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks. All right. If I have another question, call me up. That kind of touched me. 860-321-7405. Okay. This one, I'm going to charge me $2.50 for every minute. Okay. Father Ed, you're on the air. Father Ed.
Hi, Father. This is Joanne from Berlin.
Yes.
And I have 3 children. 2 of their families are having serious health issues. And I want to be a stable force. But it's hard to go with the flow and trust.
Oh, what's the basic problem?
What do you mean?
You say your family, is there a problem in the family? I didn't understand it.
Okay. 2 of my children, each of their families are having serious there's health issues in the family.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Serious health issues that they're dealing with, and it's stressful, and I want to help in some way. I don't know, and I can get anxious, and I want to be a stable force. I don't know what to do sometimes, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't have too many principles, but I have one principle. Will I be worried about this a year from now? And the things that worry me today, I say, will I be worried about it a year from now? And then I turn to our Lord and I ask him to help me carry that cross that I have right now, knowing very well a year from now, I'll give you an example. When I found out that I had cancer and I lost my kidney, and I had cancer in the kidney, and I was really shook up, like obviously people in your family are. And I prayed the little prayer, Lord, nothing's going to happen to me today that you and I together can't handle. And then I said to myself, will I be upset about this a year from now? And I said, no. So why should I be so upset about it right now? So that helped me. The prayer, Lord, nothing's going to happen to me together that you and I together can't handle. And then will I be upset about this a year from now? And then I pray for a healing. That's if they're really bad, like I anointed the lady at the Cromwell diner tonight before I came here, and she was really, really in bad shape. So maybe one thing is to pray that they receive. Like Sunday, I was up in Naugatuck, and everybody after Mass came up, and I anointed them with the sacrament of the sick. So prayer, that little prayer, believing that things will be better a year from now. So why worry about it now? And pray that they receive the sacrament of the sick, because it is a healing sacrament. I've seen people healed from it, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. So that's my humble opinion. Okay?
All right. Yeah, that anointing of the sick is something I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, right.
And it seems that it bothers me worse that it's my children's than, serious illness than it would be if it was my problem.
Yeah, that's because you're a good mother. Just like Mary was holding Jesus in her arms after he was crucified, I'm sure she would have said, I wish it were I on the cross and not my son. That just shows how the motherly love, how strong a motherly love is.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you, Father.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
Okay, that was a good call. And that call really is an example of so many other calls. The helplessness of a mother for the child. And I could think of 1,075 mothers who lost their child last year because of opiates, of some heroin or phenol or some other drug. And imagine how all these mothers feel, like this mother feeling they're helpless. What can I do for my children? Like a mother who's called me about her son who's on drugs and just heartbroken. or a father who called me, and I've been praying for his son for 6 months, all during Lent. The guy who's hooked on drugs, and remember that's going to affect your mind, your development, your moral behavior, your psychological, emotional development, and he and his wife are just besides themselves because what can they do for they've done everything they can. People have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to help their child, and it's very difficult. I'm giving an example of drugs. I don't know the problem that the lady just called, but my point is just like Mary, as she looked at Jesus on the cross, wish she were there instead of Jesus. And so often I said, I wish it were me and not my child. And that's that normal, natural, tremendous, deep love parents have for their child. Okay, let's see. Our number is 860-321-7405. If you have a question, we have about 15 minutes left of the show, so take your time but work fast and shape up before you ship up. So give me a call, 860-321-7405. Something you always want to ask a priest, like this, a lady called. In fact, each one of them had a good question for me. But let's see, some of these was Peter married? Yes, Peter was married. And should we have married priests? Well, we have them already. Will the Pope make it? See, the problem with married priests is a practical problem. You know, a priest maybe makes $32,000 a year, okay? And that gives me, I qualify for food stamps. But I also have benefits, health benefits and car benefits, which adds up to a lot more. But you can't really have a family and not have your wife working. Like this priest who is in Oakdale, his wife, I think, is a lawyer. So they're making it. But if he just relied on the priest's salary, he wouldn't make it. We don't get salaries like rabbis or ministers. We all get the same salary, so that would be a practical thing. The other problem of married priests is how much time does he spend with his parishioners, who is his family, and his nuclear family. It's working out with Protestant ministers, but I know one denomination told me their biggest problem was with divorce, because you got two wives that you're married to, and it's very, very difficult. But it does work out. But like there are a lot of missionaries out there by themselves in South America, and it's very difficult to be celibate all by yourself, and the natural need to be a parent and a husband. So we'll leave it up to the Pope. Will it happen in my time? They make the Roman Catholic Church optional celibacy. It may happen, but it may also snow in heaven before that happens. So we'll see. The telephone number is 860-321-7405. What question do you have for me? Here's one. Who pays for the billboards you put up? Where does the tithing come from? Well, where does the billboard money come from? Well, I just beg. I'm always begging. Somebody said to me, Father, I love those billboards. It just happened to me yesterday. I was at a McDonald's, and somebody came up and said, oh, Father, I love the billboards. I said, do you really love the billboards? Yes. So I take out my business card, and I give them. And I said, would you help me? So I just beg, and I keep begging. The average billboard costs $1,800 on 84. If I have it on a street, then maybe $1,300. If I have it on a digital, I saw mine on 84 going into Waterbury yesterday. That could be about $1,000. So it came out to about $75,000 last year. So if you want to help, let me know. I know you have been a priest for a long time. How many years? Well, that goes to the one that just called me. It's been 16 years. I was ordained on May 7th, 1959, And it's an interesting story because St. Joseph's Cathedral, that's where you really usually get ordained. But the cathedral fire broke out 2 years before, just like the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris today. So it burned down. And wait a minute, I think I lost let's see. No, I'm all set. You don't have to come out. You can stay where you are. And just put it back. I shouldn't be drinking on the job, and that's why it fell. Let's see if I pick up some of my questions. Oh. I think I got it on. Yeah, it's working. What is the best way to bring more of you to church? What is the best way to bring more of the youth to the church? Put a gun behind the neck and they'll follow. But what is the best way of bringing youth back to church? I don't have the best way, but a good way is by parents. The parents a good example. Here's my problem. Kids, after they make confirmation, they say, you graduated from church. The problem is that they don't have faith. And the best way to bring a child back to church is by letting them know the gift of faith they got at baptism. Let them know that they are a child of God. Let them know that their body is a temple, a holy place. Let them know that they need to love their neighbor as themselves and not instead of themselves, like girls who give up their virginity, or love their neighbor for themselves like boys do. But I think the example of the parents is the reason why I became a priest was because of a good example of my parents. We went to church, we went to novenas, we participated. The church was part of our life. But if you don't make church a part of your life, I'm gonna let him go to church, let him decide. That's a cop-out. Parents are copping out all over the place because by saying leaving it up to them when they grow up. Well, you don't leave it up to them to brush their teeth or go to bed or go to school or anything like that. If you tell them, parents now are pushing the responsibility on the religious development on the child. They don't put the responsibility of going to school, going to bed, eating, brushing their teeth. They tell them to do this. They teach them to do that. They don't say, okay, when you grow up, you can start brushing your teeth. Or when you grow up, you can start taking a shower. I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do it now or not. No, there are certain parts of life that need to be taught and supported and not to be abandoned. Many kids who don't go to church have parents who've never taken on the responsibility. When you're baptized, you're told to be the first teachers of your children. And most parents aren't doing that. That's why 80% of people don't go to church. Now, just don't blame the kids for not going to church. The millenniums. One millennium says, Father, I'm spiritual. Father, I know I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I said, do you know what the head of that church is? I'm spiritual, but not religious. Do you know who the head of that church is? The devil. He's religious, but not spiritual. I mean, he's spiritual, but not religious. He's spiritual, but not religious. And how do you spell busy? B-U-S-Y. Be under Satan's yoke. I'm too busy to go to church. And the devil means divide. He's in every division. So all I want to say to you, thank you for listening. And I'd like to end it with some prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, a mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Jesus, I love you more today than yesterday, less today than tomorrow. May God bless all of you. May God bless all of you. Good night.